Um, yes, so first do a quick introduction. So my name's Peter Leeson. I have called my company Orchestrated Knowledge because the website was available and it was the title of a book I published a couple years ago, more than a couple years ago, 10 years ago. Very long time that I need to work on volume 2. Which is about why the traditional hierarchical, patriarchal business based on kings and barons is not fit for purpose in the 21st century. Um, Otherwise, I'm a coach, consultant. I teach leadership. I help not reorganize. I help change the culture of companies so that they can focus on quality, using very many models. Somebody mentioned MBTI, which I strongly disapprove of, but that's okay, because it's putting people in boxes, and I don't do boxes. Um, Film character, I will be happy to argue that this is not a film character, but a literature character. However, I am going to stick with it. I would be the, oh God, I can't remember, I've forgotten the name of the beast. The caterpillar. I want to be the caterpillar in Alice in Wonderland. Because the caterpillar in Alice in Wonderland, for me, is the ultimate coach, consultant, and public speaker, sitting there doing nothing, talking about things that in a completely incomprehensible way, and people think he's very wise. So, coming to what I'm going to talk about this morning, this is extracted from a longer presentation. I've put in the chat the link to the longer presentation. I've cut out bits so that it would fit into the time I have given. Oops, there's my logo. There we are. And let's go down here. So, From Room to Zoom. I like that title. It's not the original title. The idea is that trainers all over the place have had to move from face-to-face speaking in a conference room to giving things online, making it all happen online. And those are very different things. Those are very different concepts, and they need to be understood what the differences are if you're going to be successful at it. So I'm going to quick overview. It's actually only half the overview, talk a little bit about why it's important, design, build, sell the course, deliver the course, and then conclusions. And I'm going to go through all that in the time allocated, hopefully. Start with a quick overview. There's my starting statement there. Here. Oh, I can do that. E-learning doesn't work. This is the big shock for everybody who feels they need to move online. There are reasons e-learning doesn't work. These are all statistics come from various places. If you have a look at the online version, you can click on the links and find out. If you're in a company, if you're working in an office, you're typically given 4.8 minutes per day for e-learning. Depending on the statistics you look at, 4% to 10% of students following an e-learning course actually complete their training. And the metrics are showing us that social learning, face-to-face learning, is on average 75% more effective than e-learning. And that's the challenge we are given. And the reason it's so bad is for good reasons, okay? E-learning, you're alone. You don't have peers who are carrying you, who are working with you and progressing with you. You give an online thing, there's always somebody who's gone off to read their emails or something. They're interrupted. there's no contact between the learner and the presenter, so the presenter doesn't actually have an immediate feedback as to I'm going too fast, I'm going too slow, this is going way above your head, or you already knew all this, and so on. And of course, in e-learning, generally there is very little practice. It is just listening to someone presenting stuff. The world has moved from Meccano to Lego, meaning we want quick solutions. We don't want to spend time designing, building, understanding. It has to be entertaining. It has to be quick. It has to be colorful. We don't have time to fact check. Things must be quick, easy, fun. That's where we are today. So you need, as a trainer, to provide something that people want to listen to. You need to provide something that provides value to them. So there are a few principles to consider. For basic theories of learning, because people learn in different ways, and I do not mean by that that some people fall in one area and some in the others. We all fall in all of them at different times. First approach, cognitive. The cognitive behavior is, I already know this bit, I see how this adds on to it. I understand A to W, you're explaining X, that fits perfectly into my alphabet scheme, I get that. It requires knowing where people are so that you can build on it. There are different skills, preferences, intelligence that will work in different ways and that impact your ability to learn. So linguistic, mathematical, musical, bodily, kinesthetic, spatial, interpersonal, intrapersonal, they're all different personalities, different intelligences, different ways of understanding things. You need to try to keep the balance between all of those. Environmental concerns. Within the traditional teaching environment, there should be, even though there rarely is, but there should be attention to the lighting, the noise, the oxygen or the CO2 in the atmosphere, and so on. There's gaming, there's playing. I very strongly recommend, if you teach people in face-to-face mode, to have a look at Stephen Heppel's little film there. He explains all the different aspects on how to create a better environment to facilitate learning. Next one is kinesthetic learning. People learn by doing things, and that is different ways of doing things. So you can have role-playing training. You've got different physical aspects. I find it very difficult not to have a pen and paper in front of me. Even if I never read my notes again, I have to doodle, I have to draw, I have to take notes. It's part of the way I think, part of the way I understand things. And then, of course, things like dance, drama, sports. I know a lot of you are into running. I don't run, and I stand by my decision not to run, or at least my arthritic knees stand by my decision not to run. You've got to have different reactions to the way things are happening. So, understanding all that, let's try to design the course. Obviously, you know the context, who you're talking to. You know if you're talking to university graduates or if you're talking to children, if you're talking to manual workers or if you're talking to CEOs. You understand that, you know how much time, you know what your message is, you know how to deliver your message, start with, leading to, and concluding with. So I'm not going to talk about that. I am going to talk about the content. By the way, the little mind map there represents the talk I'm busy giving right now. So designing the content, you need to understand what, how to do it. First question is the timing. This is one of the big challenges. In a classroom, I can hold your attention for 20 minutes without a problem. In e-learning, on average, I can hold your attention for 7 minutes without making an effort. So after 7 minutes on e-learning, after 20 minutes in the class, there is a requirement to change topic, change mode, change voice, change rhythm. Something has to change in order to get the attention back. Methods of delivery. Methods of delivery, we need variety. This picture here is one of me giving a training session on project management in a company, and I am speaking, I am illustrating with slides what I am talking about. I am getting people to take notes so that they are actively involved in it. I have got posters, flip charts, whiteboards that I am updating, that I am changing while we go around. I am highlighting bits on the illustrations in order to attract attention to one bit or another, and I am giving activities and practice in the classroom. Online, you don't have that option. You've got to choose how to proceed. Online, like in a classroom, I want to include some graphics. Graphics are always fun. I want to include some statistics and some data to back things up a bit. I want to include text. Text on slides is a method. You might think I'm exaggerating with this slide. In fact, this is one that was used at a course I attended. Here is a very well-known person delivering a training with a slide that is unreadable because it contains so much data. It's okay from time to time, but please don't do too much or you'll just bore everyone to sleep. This should work. This is not working. Bugger. That was my little animated cartoon here. It worked yesterday. Okay, I'll move on. Plan the presentation of your course, not just the content. Which I'm sorry my cartoon fell out there. I don't know what happened. You need variety. Within your course, put in some humor, some theory, some practical examples, some anecdotes, some personal stories and experience. In the full presentation of this, I had all that. In today's cut-down version, I've cut out quite a lot of this in order to bring it down to the limited time available. However, in these things, be careful. Be careful, because there is an enormous cultural trap. Okay? I got to persuade you that I am a person like you. I got to persuade you that I have experience, studied my topic and know what I'm talking about, that I am talking to you while you might not see me. But I have to be careful. Humor is a fantastic tool in training and presentation. But humor is a cultural trap which you can fall into. People laugh at different things. You think it's funny, someone else thinks it's political or sexist or racist or something. There is always someone who doesn't like it, okay? It's very careful how you use humor. There is one topic that you're allowed to joke about anywhere in the world, no matter who you are talking about, and that's yourself. Making a fool of yourself, which is something that the British are extremely good at, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean, you see the British humor, the shows like Mr. Bean, it's all about making fun of myself, not making fun of other people. I'm not making fun of the Germans or of the Chinese as other nations might do. So if mock yourself, great, please go ahead. Everybody loves that. Approaches to learning is the other challenge. Because you're online, you are global, and different people react in different ways to things. So I very strongly recommend the culture map here in order to try and understand it. And I will give you one example from the culture map. If you are to the left of this flow and you're talking to Italians, French, Spanish, Russian people, you need to give principles first. What's the theory? What's the philosophy behind this? Because otherwise they don't believe what you're telling them. If you're talking to US, Canadians, Australians, you need to tell them first why this is important and how it impacts them, and then you can explain the theories that back up your conclusion. If you do it in the wrong way, you will lose their attention. And this is challenging if you're online and speaking on a global basis. You need to get the right balance between this. Building the course. I always suggest composing your course like a 3-course meal. You've got a starter, you've got a main course, you've got a dessert, you've got spices, and you need to taste it before starting. So the starter, you want to open the appetite, you want to make people want to listen, you want to help them relax. This is probably one of the main moments to use humor. Find out why people are there. Explain to them why they should be listening to you. What experience do you have? I have been teaching and lecturing now for over 40 years in one form or another. I have stood up and given lectures and presentations and courses on every continent except South America and Antarctica. And I like doing it. I especially like being put on a stage in front of 500 people. There I really can relax. What's the problem? What's the potential? What am I offering? So that's a whiteboard of collecting expectations before an in-class lesson. The main part, the main course of your meal is the core of what you're trying to do. Make sure it's complete. Okay, so you want protein, carbohydrates, and vegetables in reasonable proportions. So you want it personal, you want it practical, and you want some data, evidence, statistics, theories to back it up. And then you need to make it look good. Okay, that's why when you buy a cookbook, the dishes in the pictures in the cookery book always look much nicer than what you've actually done yourself. Or at least that's my experience. Maybe one of you knows how to do this properly. But plan it out. So again, on the left here, you have got 2 pages of a list. That is more details about how to prepare this presentation. Come to the suite, dessert at the end, conclusions, recap the key messages, recap the main messages. Those are 2 separate things. Thank you and feedback. So this is one course where I ask for 1-word feedback. Make sure that your people leave wanting more and not fed up. That you want them to come back. And then, of course, no good chef would allow a course to go to the customers, to the diners without tasting it. So make sure you taste what you're doing beforehand. Make sure the spelling is consistent. Try not to mix up American and British spelling. Make sure the colors and fonts are consistent. Capitalization, punctuation, animations, and transitions, all these things have to work. Now, some of you might complain that I have used some American spelling and some British spelling in here, but actually I am using the Oxford spelling, which says that words ending in IZE is the correct spelling and ISE is an alternative, but it is YSE, not YZE. So making this a little bit difficult for everyone. Everybody's upset with my spelling. When you're ready, review, revise, rehearse. Does it flow? How's the timing? Um, do you need to change continuity? Do you jump from one thing to the other? Can you be interrupted? Can you deliver this even if you're not feeling well? Can you deal with technical failure while you're busy doing it? Can you react properly and continue speaking instead of doing what you really want to do and kick the damn thing out the window? References. So this is what I call the spices. You've used pictures that are taken from places. You have used statistics. You have quoted things. You may have noticed that every picture I have, every reference I have to someone else, there is always in small print the link. I can show you where this picture comes from. In this case, it comes from 5 Indian spices that can enhance your beauty, which is something
No, we've got a couple of minutes left, Peter.
Yep, something I definitely need. Selling the course. Okay, you want people to come listen. First thing, consider the title. I have considered using the title Implementing Proactive Quality Assurance. I decided to replace that with the quality auditor as an obstacle to product quality, which attracted a lot more people than the first one would. These are examples of titles that I have used, the idea being to awaken curiosity and make people want to come and find out how I can talk about organizational sociology and the anthropology of an engineer. Write your pitch. It's probably one of the first things to do in a course. Sell it. And once you understood what is it you're trying to sell, then you can structure it more appropriately. Listen to the feedback. There are 2 types of feedback. There is constructive feedback and there is supportive feedback. Supportive feedback is the people who say, yes, very good, very nice. That's not much use. Constructive feedback is the one where you don't want to get mad. Course delivery. If you read the slides, one of you is useless. If all you're doing is reading what's on the slides, either the slides are useless or you're useless. They are there to remind you of your flow, to remind you what you're talking about, and to illustrate what you're talking about. Measures your speed of delivery, especially online. Remember that people can join you who don't speak good English. You need to give them time to think. You need to give yourself time to think. Be alive. Don't just stand. I've been to an online course which had one person standing next to the slide for 2 hours, extremely boring. Be prepared for questions and answers when somebody is going to come along and ask you some stupid question that you've never thought of before and which is extremely valuable and critical. And just about on time, conclusions. Make it interesting. Structure your presentation. Include theory and practice. It's more difficult than in a classroom. Know your audience, know your topic and your messages. Make sure they have fun and want more. Don't make empty commitments. This is Sainsbury's. And that's it. Those are my contact details. Okay, currently I've put all this in the chat. Quick commercial for books. I've got 3 books out actually, ISO 14001, ISO 45001 are the boring ones. Orchestrated knowledge is a lot more fun. And that's it. That's it from me. Thank you. And if we've got time for questions, I'm happy to do so.